The spirit of Ultimate Warrior will run forever!
Kyle here, and welcome back to the channel for another edition of the Toy News for the Week. As you guys know, new format here on the channel every Saturday. We're going to break down all the action figure news of the week, or Friday for you Patreon members. But Saturday is going to be the toy news that interests me, hopefully interests you, and I break down everything that happened this week. And then, of course, Sundays now will be the weekly purchases, all the pickups of the week. So make sure you join me for both videos. And like I said, Patreon has both videos on Fridays. If you can't wait, you can do that. And it's been quite the week this week. Of course, it is the Halloween weekend. I got my Finest King Diamond shirt on and to celebrate. Hopefully you're enjoying Halloween. Hopefully you're going trick-or-treating if you got kids, or even if you don't. Who cares? Go out there, get some candy. But of course, Halloween week, big on the channel here, as we did a lot of videos this week on the channel with a little Halloween theme. Had my dad over for a few videos counting down top 5 Universal monsters of all time, both of our list. We unboxed The Mummy, and a few other things this week. A little horror-inspired week, whatever you want to call it, Halloween tribute week. Whatever it is, we did it here on the channel. So make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss videos like that. But let's break down the news. But of course, housekeeping first to start. Of course, Patreon. We're coming to the end of October. Patreon giveaway. Last chance to enter. Of course, 2 winners this month. Rey Mysterio Greatest Hits. The brand new Rey Mysterio Top Picks. This will go to 1 winner. And then the other winner will get the Flying Fist He-Man and Terror Claws Skeletor. So 2 chances to win this month over there on Patreon. Stay tuned. I will announce the winners next week, and then I'll have to figure out something else to give away for the month of November. So stay tuned for that. But let's break down all the action figure news this week. Like I said, that interests me, hopefully interests you. Let's start with some wrestling news first. How about an interesting one? We talked last week, HasLab Toys coming in hot with, what was it, the Smoke Train, Charles Wright, which is really the Godfather at the end of the day. Very clever way of getting around the name. So we know Godfather is coming. But he also has Savio Vega, which is an interesting one. Obviously, Attitude Era. Or you Puerto Rican wrestling fans, I'm sure you guys know Savio very well down there especially. But he is going to get a retro-style figure. Not sure there's a lot of clamoring for Savio Vega, but you guys tell me, are you all in on a Savio Vega? I think the Godfather will sell fairly well for what this is. Obviously, this isn't Mattel-type production here, and Mattel doesn't even sell these at stores, so their production is fairly low. This is going to be a heck of a lot lower. I'm not sure how many they are going to make. I don't know if he is going to announce. Most of those people don't announce how many figures they're making. They got to have some secrecy. You guys know how that goes. But Savio Vega is coming, and then one out of left field really is Diana Hart. So Diana Hart is coming. Of course, we know Diana Hart from the Hart Foundation. Bret Hart's sister, married to the British Bulldog. We remember, of course, from that match between those two, her getting involved. And we remember that patented fringe jacket. My wife tells me fringe is in. I still call her bluff on it, but it's an interesting one. I don't know. I don't know what to think about this. Of course, we got the little retro-inspired artwork. We don't see any prototypes yet, anything like that. It looks interesting. I don't know. It doesn't really look to me like a retro. It looks like a very cartoon, like kids' toy my daughters would buy is what it looks like. I don't know. We'll see how it comes. I always wait to give total judgment once it's in hand, or at least we see some pictures, some better glamour shots of it, as this is just artwork for now. But we'll see who else joins this line, and we've been talking about it the last year plus on the channel. The retro boom seems to have slowed a little bit. To me, retros aren't as popular as they were just a couple years ago. And we all know the dollar isn't as going as far as it was a few years ago, where people were ancillary collecting the retros. Those people might have said, that's so hard to say goodbye, I'm done with retro. So the retro market is a tough one. Obviously, Mattel's going to be there because they got the big juggernaut behind them. Zombie Sailor's doing a good job. Of course, we know we talk about him all the time. We're going to talk about him in this video. Cella Toys going under. They're moving over to Wrestling Trader Figure Collection. They still got a couple oars in the water, but it's getting a little murky over there. We'll see where this retro boom goes, and I think it's safe to say the boom is over. But we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in this retro game. I guess Zombie Sailor, perfect segue into him. He did announce and showed a little picture, a little teaser image of the One Man Gang, an all-time favorite of mine. I love One Man Gang. I love Akeem. Would love to have Mattels of those, obviously. A new Mattel Akeem would be great, and One Man Gang, Power Town, whatever. But we are getting the One Man Gang retro. That'll be cool enough. I'm here for that. I like the soft goods look on this one. One Man Gang, I'm here for it. But Zombie Sailor does have Series 2 up for pre-order. Go to zombiesailor.com if you are interested, of course, that is Bruiser Brody, Andre the Giant, Kevin Sullivan, old school Florida Kevin Sullivan, Nick Gage, and King Kong Bundy, and we can't forget Raven. Now, Raven is going to ship separately. I guess he's going to take a little bit longer to get done, so he's going to ship later in the summer, but these should be shipping, let's just call it trimester one. We always talk quarter one, but we'll call it trimester one. That's January through April. I think it's going to ship there somewhere, but you know, Jeff Jarrett, we ordered that 14 months ago. Some of these things, it's always a little bit difficult, so hopefully this does meet the timetable. I know Zombie Sailor's goal is to eventually you guys will order and then they'll ship, or I'll order too, of course, but that's the game. No more year waits. He's trying to get ahead of things as he builds up capital from the first wave for first series. That's the way that's going to go. But Raven, a little bit more cost to him because of the leather, whatever you want to call it, the jacket on him. It costs a little bit more to produce, which makes sense. But I'm excited. We'll, of course, unbox those on the channel when the time does come. Ringside Collectibles came in this week. Of course, discount code Kyle saves you 10%. But Ringside came in with some more glamour shots of Owen Hart, some packaging images of the Owen Hart figure that is upcoming. That usually tells us, hey, we're just around the corner from this actually releasing. That will be one we'll definitely review here on the channel. I'm excited for an Owen Hart. I'll never say Owen Hart was one of my all-time favorites, but obviously respected. Obviously watched TV wrestling when he was around. Very cool to get Owen Hart after all these years, but this is an interesting one, and we see this a lot with Jazzwares. We've talked about it a lot, is their glamour shot images never really do the figures justice. There's always a little bit of a miss between the camera and the figure. Somewhere in that space, there's a miss, and I don't know what it is. Hopefully that is the case here, because some of those Owen head sculpts look a little out there, but we'll see. We'll pass judgment here at the table, as we always do, hopefully sooner than later. We also saw WWE.com trying to steal Kyle's wallet, but I wouldn't let it happen. And a lot of people did send this to me and say, hey, are you picking this up? Of course, this is the 35th anniversary of The Ultimate Warrior. What an anniversary. The Ultimate Warrior, 35 years this week. He made his WWF debut way back in the day. But they did put up one of those replica titles, an Ultimate Warrior-inspired title at $499. Get out of here with that. Currently, as of Friday, as I'm filming this, $374 they have a sale. We know WWE.com never pay full price for anything. They do deals all the time. Got to get a deal out there. I will not be partaking in this wrestling belt, as I've always said it, and I'm sticking to that rule. The only way I'm getting a wrestling belt is if I beat somebody for it. That's the only way I'm getting a wrestling belt in my collection. I'm not paying for a belt, but if I win it in a fight, in a street fight or in a wrestling match, I'll take the belt home and I will display it if that is the case. You got to earn those things. You can't just buy a belt. Come on, what are we doing, people? But for this Warrior, I'm passing, especially at that price. It is cool, but it's nothing. It's just a made-up deal. I mean, really, at the end of the day. So, for those that wanted to know about that, or if you're into belts, nothing wrong with it. There's belt collectors out there, and it would be pretty cool to have a wall of belts. I get the looks of that. That would be a cool thing. But you can get it off WWEshop.com right now and probably get some points and rewards and deals, discounts, all the stuff they always give you. Some other news this week, and there was a lot of miscellaneous news this week, and we all know about NECA Toys, of course, NECA Toys. This month is 31 days of horror reveals, or NECA reveals, honestly, and they didn't really break any new ground of things we didn't know about, for the most part. For the most part, a few things. But one thing that really got my attention, and one of my all-time favorite properties, Captain Spaulding from, of course, House of 1,000 Corpses, Devil's Rejects. Devil's Rejects probably being my favorite movie of all time. We are getting a NECA Toonie Terrors Captain Spaulding. I'm all in on this one. I love the good Captain. Very, very cool. I know that Sid Haig, of course, the actor that played Captain Spaulding, he has since passed away. NECA had the rights to him and stopped making figures upon his death. And there was a press release or a comment somewhere along the way where he said, yeah, they felt like it was a cash grab. They didn't feel right making money off his likeness. Well, now we're a couple years past, and I think times have changed. They're going to start making Captain Spaulding stuff again. I would expect an Ultimate Captain Spaulding probably around the corner sometime soon. They're going to get us a lot of different Captain Spaulding stuff. Hopefully House of 1,000 Corpses stuff as well. I would love to see NECA take over the rights to that. Move on to Devil's Rejects, maybe 3 from Hell. Who knows? But I'm in on that one all day. I'm excited for that Toonie Terrors. I dabble in that line. I don't get a whole lot of them. My daughter, Emma, of course, she used to really like that line when she was a little bit younger. Captain Spaulding, I'm in for it as well. We also saw from NECA London After Midnight. We got a little teaser of that. Of course, that is Lon Chaney, not Lon Chaney Jr. Don't get him confused, but London After Midnight, getting an action figure. Now, that isn't necessarily a Universal monster movie. It's not even a Universal movie at all. But it is one of the most famous lost films of all time. As you guys know, Kyle, one credit away from a minor in film. And we did learn about that movie, how it was a lost film, you know, and they're trying to piece it back together. I guess there was a big fire at some studio, lost it. It's like the holy grail of missing films, some would say. But we are getting an action figure of that. Very, very iconic. You might not know the movie, but you've probably seen the still of Lon Chaney. So very cool to get that in action figure form. We also saw the accessory set to Dracula, much like the Mummy one my dad and I unboxed here on this very channel this week. We are getting one of those for Dracula. That's pretty cool. I think that's a neat thing to do, and they're going to do that for Frankenstein, and they'll probably do that for everybody down the line. So NECA coming with some Universal Monster stuff, some old school horror stuff as well, and I'm here for it. I'm here for it. More monster stuff this week outside of NECA is Rush Collectibles. They announced, or they showed pictures, colorized pictures of Nosferatu, Frankenstein, Cthulhu, and Zombo the Sailor. Tongue-in-cheek on that one, which I think is kind of funny. I don't know, Zombie Sailor I think's worked up about that, but I would buy that if I was Zombie Sailor. I'd say, you know, that's a very flattering thing. They're going to make a figure based off of what I do. I think that's pretty cool. So Rush Collectibles, more retros, but horror variety, which... you take that step back. Obviously, there's retro wrestlers, but why not make monsters in the same scale? You can pretend you're in Memphis wrestling Jerry Lawler if you really wanted to. I just think it's a neat idea and one that does work for me. So very, very cool for Rush Collectibles to come in with those. I'm not sure I'm going to pick them up, but I think it's just a cool idea. Now we turn our attention to NECA once again, something outside of the monster variety. They did put up for pre-order on NECA Online. Apparently, this is an online exclusive. It is Garax from the Defenders of the Earth line, kind of a one-and-done one. I guess they didn't have much hopes for this guy at retail, so he's a store exclusive. A cool-looking bad guy robot. He's got a picture of Ming on his stomach there. It's just very interesting, very wacky. I'm not sure if I'm going to pick this up or not. I've been dabbling in those Defenders of the Earth, as you guys have seen on the channel, but I thought that was interesting enough, and I like the idea of it being an online exclusive because it wouldn't sell at retail, and let's be honest, the whole Defenders of the Earth line doesn't really sell very well at retail. You can find Flash Gordon Ming in about every Walmart and Target store you do walk into, but I thought that was worth mentioning. Now we turn our attention to Hasbro and HasLabs. Of course, a lot going on with Hasbro this week. They did have a live stream Thursday night. That was a mess because they never sent me the link, so I'm like, where's the link? Where's the link? And then I found out everybody had access to it on YouTube. Not the best way to go, but you know, mistakes happen. It's not the end of the world, but a little bit weird because I would have liked to watch the live stream. I just didn't have the link, didn't think to go to YouTube and search for it because it was supposed to be a private event for members only. But what is it? What is it? What do you do? But how about we talk a little bit about HasLab and the Ghost Rider HasLab, of course, that does end on Halloween. Get your order in, get your order in. Well, we've talked about that the last few weeks here on the channel. Not going to happen, not even at 5,000 backers. As of right now, you're at 4,822 backers. There's no way that happens. There's just no way. On better hopes of backing, of course, Eternia, Masters of the Universe, Mattel Creations exclusive. That has a couple more weeks still to back. And right now, it's currently at 8,202. So very, very cool. That has fully funded. We have got Modi, or the Moat Monster, as the first unlockable. Keklar, he's at 10,000. My gut said we were going to get to 10,000. I don't know. It has slowed down a little bit. We'll have that final push as people get paid and things that we always see. Maybe some of the big bad toy stores of the world, entertainment stores of the world might dabble in some of these as well. But right now we're at 8,202. It's going to be close. It's going to be down to the wire. But we are getting Eternia for sure, unlike the HasLab Ghost Rider Engine of Vengeance. That's probably not coming home unless an absolute miracle happens in the next couple of days. But then Hasbro in their live stream, they announced another one, and we're not going to go into it big, but I wanted to put it out there, is the Deathosaurus, a Transformer, a giant Transformer. Nothing wrong with a giant Transformer. I love me some Transformers. But it's already at 4,285 of 11,000 after, you know, 10 hours or whatever it's been. So that one's well on its way. Transformer fans are very, very loyal. I'm a big Transformers fan, but I really just go to the cartoons, the original cartoons and the movie. I don't know a Deathosaurus. It sounds awesome, but this isn't something I'm going to pick up in my collection. But if you're a Transformers fan, I'm happy for you. It sounds like a lot of people are wanting this, and it is growing by the minute. So Deathosaurus HasLab project is off to the races. Jump in if you can. Very interesting with these HasLabs and Mattel Creation things. The game has definitely changed, especially as we keep talking about, like a broken record here on the channel, with inflation and the cost of everything. The extra money, the extra spending money people have for big projects like this are starting to become fewer and fewer and far in between, especially this time of year with the holidays right around the corner. Obviously, you want to get your kids, you want to get your parents, your grandparents, you want to get them gifts. You got to put money aside for stuff like that. So it's getting really tough. I hope there's no more of these. Hopefully the WWE one, whenever that happens, I hope they do it around WrestleMania. I've been saying it since day one. That's the time to launch a Mattel backed project around WrestleMania season. That's the height of wrestling popularity each year when the most eyes are on it. That's what you're going to get the most eyes on. That's what they need to do. It'll be interesting where that goes. But I don't know. I don't know. What's next for Star Wars? What's going to be next for HasLab? I'm just not sure. Of course, we did unbox the HasLab Galactus on the channel this week. Cheap plug for that video. That's something a lot of people wanted. That's hardcore collector area. The Engine of Vengeance, not so much, because I think most people are like me, generalizing, paint with a wide brush. Most people are like me, that they think of the old school Ghost Rider, of course, on his motorcycle, not in a car. And I think that's what people are more apt to buy, because the newer generation, they don't have the money for a HasLab. They don't. I remember being a kid. I remember being in high school and college years, not having money. And that would be that era's Ghost Rider, for the most part, where the people that have money, the discretionary funds, people in their 30s and above usually, just, you know, generalizing once again, they have money for other things with more iconic to them. So you always got to put those other variables as well. So what is the next HasLab? To me, you almost have to just do giant figures. I'm sure they want to get away from giant figures, but that seems what people want. They want Galactus. They want the Sentinel. They probably want a Fing Fang Foom. They want big figures. And you got to give the people what they want at the end of the day. You got to know your market strategy. And I don't know. Here's the thing. Here's a wild idea just from the business hat once again. I don't think I've ever seen this. Maybe I missed it. I don't know. You guys tell me. But people that backed Galactus, for example, if you backed Galactus, why wouldn't they give you like an exit survey? How happy were you with the selection of Galactus? Was this, obviously you bought it, but was this at a 1 to 10 scale? 10, this is exactly what I wanted. 1, this isn't what I wanted. And then put a comment box in there, say, what would you like to see as the next HasLab? Poll the people that supported Galactus. Let them help you decide, because I'm sure somebody at Hasbro said, I really want that Engine of Vengeance. Yeah, I want that. Well, guess what? Kyle wants every Ultimate... I want an Ultimate Warrior in every wrestling set. That's just not going to happen. It doesn't make business sense. So you got to poll your audience. Know your audience. Know what your audience wants. I think HasLab, Mattel Creations, any of that kind of stuff, they need to poll. They need to take the temperature of the room. Maybe people that, you know, do videos. And I'm not saying come to Kyle. Let Kyle decide these things. But somebody that's out there that has a feel of what people are wanting, what people in the community want. I don't know if Mattel or Hasbro, for instance, do a very good job of that. Maybe they think they do. Maybe they got the blinders on, but I don't see stuff. I mean, there should be a thing out from HasLab right now, or I should say November 1st after this HasLab's over. This failed. Sorry for everybody that wanted it. Maybe another day we'll get it. What would you guys like to see in the future? What would you like to see? And then try to take the temperature of the room from there. And that goes for Mattel. That goes for all of them. That's what I would do if I was in their shoes. Now, me personally, my next Marvel Legend HasLab, I'd like to see a Punisher van. But I think there's no way that's happening. Well, people didn't want a car. They're not going to want a mom's van. So I don't know. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how some of these projects go forth, especially into next year. Money's tight. People don't have the money. I think it would be really smart, too, if some of these weren't super $300, $400, $500 things. Do a HasLab for $100. Do a Mattel Creations one for $100. Let's buy a little bit of time. Let's keep those things going and say, hey, we're just doing one. We don't know if it would sell really well at retail, so we're doing it for $100 here. Here it is. Do something like that. I don't know. What am I saying? Who knows? But there's some of that. But we did see the Hasbro live stream, of course. I did catch it later on. And we did see a little bit of stuff. Not a whole lot of ground was broken there. G.I. Joe news, that's kind of how it kicked off. Chuckles is coming to the Classified Series line. For some reason, I thought that was already announced. In my head, I was like, all right, we're getting Chuckles sometime next year. Well, either way, it is official now. Chuckles is coming. One of the guys that stole the show in the movie, of course, but a lot of people love Chuckles. There's a lot of deep love for him in the comic books, things like that. Everybody loves an undercover PI. That's kind of like Magnum PI, but different. So Chuckles is coming to the line. They did put up Dr. Mindbender and Serpentor again for those that missed it before. So hopefully if you missed it, you did get a second chance at those. And that was really it for G.I. Joe. Marvel Legends came in with the most stuff. They came in with Baron von Strucker. That's going to be good to fill out that team, if you call it a team, the bad guys. I have a nice shelf going in my collection right now, so he'll fit perfectly in there. They didn't say what waves these are for or anything like that, but they said, hey, here's who is coming. Yelena is coming, which is like a Black Widow type thing. I think it's Yelena Belova. I think it's who it is, I believe, but it's like a different version of the Black Widow. Not super familiar, honestly, with that character, but it looked okay. It looked okay. We also saw the Carnage and Spider-Man 2-pack. We knew that was announced, I think, at PulseCon. That did go up for pre-order. Man, oh man, I said that during the PulseCon recap. I just don't know. We already have these, basically. Now you get some cell shading, but you get the fancy VHS boxes, some of that stuff. It's just interesting. And of course, the X-Men animated series line, which I really did enjoy. The Spider-Man series I really enjoyed too. So I keep going back and forth with myself on that one, but we'll see. But the Spider-Man, I mean, it's black suit Spider-Man we've seen numerous times with the cell shading. Carnage, same thing. We've seen this Carnage before. Even the Cletus Cassidy head we've seen before. I wish we could have got something a little bit newer there instead of just packaging and cell shading. But as we always say, you do vote with your wallet at the end of the day, and that's what you got to do if you're into that line or not. A couple other things there. One other thing we saw was Wonder Man. We saw a more classic Wonder Man. I've always thought of this as kind of the I don't know, is it classic? To me, my favorite Wonder Man, and we already had it many, many years ago. It's got the big W on the chest, of course, in his like power suit or whatever we want to call it. This is a different version of Wonder Man, which I remember seeing back in the day when I was a kid and being like, this guy just looks like a goofy guy. He looks like somebody that would be holding a camera in an episode of G.I. Joe. What was that newsman's name? He looks like his cameraman is what he reminds me of. But I know a lot of people are looking for this Wonder Man, and I like that it is something different. So very cool to get Wonder Man announced. I guess he'll be coming next year as well. And then stuff that was not announced but got leaked online, and it hasn't been announced from Hasbro yet, but we have a good feeling, a good strong feeling. It is coming to market. The rumors are true. We are getting Blob. It looks like we're getting a deluxe figure of Blob. I'm so happy. This is one I've wanted. It's been at the top of my want list. That and Rhino for a lot of years. We got Rhino this year. Now we are getting Blob. I can just see that Build-A-Figure plummeting in price. So if I was you and I had that old Blob and you don't want two Blobs in your collection, go to eBay and sell it before the word gets out. Because once the word's officially out from Hasbro, that thing is going to plummet big time. Get your money while you can if you're interested in that kind of thing. But the Blob is coming. That'll be a day one purchase for me. We also saw Ronan the Accuser. I don't have this version. I have the MCU version. I think this was back. Was it back in the Toy Biz days we got one of these? I think that's what it was. But Ronan is coming as well. Looks like maybe another deluxe figure, or maybe it'll be a 2-pack of some sorts. Not exactly sure. More to come on that one in the future. But it was an interesting Hasbro live stream. Not a lot of news, but just a little bit. And it's one of those things that's nice if you're a member. It's a little thing like, hey, thank you. It's a little added value to your membership. Unfortunately, like we said, they did mess up and they sent it out to everybody. So is what it is. I guess mistakes happen. We'll leave it at that. Final news of this week here, of course, Mondo, He-Man, Battle Cat. We talked about it last week. It is up for pre-order right now. We got till... Is it like November 1st maybe, I think, is when the pre-order's done? Man, oh man, that couldn't come at a worse time with Eternia and everything else, the holidays. $500 for Battle Cat. But man, oh man, you got to have it. And of course, if you don't have He-Man, very smart of Mondo, a bare bones He-Man, but $235 right there if you need He-Man on Battle Cat. And you can't have Battle Cat without He-Man, so it really forces your hand or forces your wallet. We said Galactus was the devourer of wallets in my unboxing. Well, maybe Mondo is the devourer of wallets. Who knows? But, oh, I got to get this. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, and honestly, I keep forgetting about it, and I hope I remember sometime over the weekend to just take time and get that done. And it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt the wallet pretty bad to do it, but it must be done for my collection, I guess. I can't have the He-Man I already have without Battle Cat. They just go together. I got to have those guys together as much as it does pay me. But I guess they have payment plan options, so I might have to look into that one there on the website. We also saw from Super7 this week. How about Super7 coming in hot? Ultimate Edition Star Trek The Next Generation figures. I know absolutely nothing about Star Trek. I know absolutely nothing. I know some of the actors and actresses, of course, because, you know everybody knows Captain Picard and James T. Kirk. We all know that. Spock, of course. I mean, I can throw some names about Commander Riker and Worf, I think he's a Klingon or something. But I don't know anything about Star Trek, so this is an easy pass for me. But I know Star Trek, just like Star Wars, has a huge fan base. There's going to be some people dabbling in these, I think, no doubt. We do see those Playmate Star Trek figures starting to pop up at Walmarts and Targets. So there must be a little bit of a Star Trek renaissance going on. A little bit of that. So you get your Playmates, really cheap ones. You get your higher end Super7 Ultimate Editions. But I can see some people definitely dabbling into that. We'll see how that ends up going. But those are up for pre-order right now in all the usual places. The Big Bad Toy Stores, Entertainment Earth, or Super7 Store if you are interested. And then finally, Super7 did give us a little tease, a little picture tease, which makes all the sense in the world. Got to get the most out of your molds. We're getting the Ghost of Jaga. Of course, Jaga was a ghost most of the time in Thundercats. So this should be an easy repaint with maybe some extra bells and whistles thrown in. But we're going to get Jaga. Now, we do know the Clear Tiger was a Big Bad Toy Store exclusive. Is this Jaga going to be part of another wave of Thundercats? Or is this going to be an Entertainment Earth exclusive or something along those lines? I guess we'll wait and see once we get more news. But as of filming, they just kind of dangled the picture at us and said, hey, this is coming, basically. And I'm excited. I really do like the Thundercats line. I know it's not for everybody, but I really do enjoy those Thundercat figures. I like the representation of them in my collection. So very fun stuff this week. A lot of news, a lot of action figures coming our way. You got to think some of the news might slow down with the holidays, but nothing slows down anymore. Everybody wants a piece of your wallet. We know that. So I don't expect, outside of maybe Christmas week or New Year's week, I don't see a slow news week. There's always going to be something to talk about. Maybe just not for a half hour. Maybe it'll be 15 minutes, but there's always something going on. Rust never sleeps, as they say. I think that's an old expression there. All right, time for Album of the Week. And for Halloween weekend, Halloween week, there's a lot of things you can do, and you got to listen to the spooky stuff. You can bust out some Gwar, some Ghoul, some Halloween, or for you deep metal heads like myself, Halloween. Not Halloween, Halloween. Deep cut there for you guys. Of course, King Diamond, Merciful Fate. I think I mentioned Ghoul. But what do I go through for Halloween? I always listen to the same stuff, usually Halloween weekend. This weekend going to be no different. It is the Misfits. It is Collection 1 and Collection 2. Kind of a best of the Misfits. Obviously, they have a few albums out there, and that's pretty much culled together into Collection 1 and 2. But that really is the Halloween soundtrack for me every single Halloween. Going to McDonald's, get myself a McRib, hold the pickles, hold the onions. Trust me, I'm a McRib expert. So some people don't know the McRib never went away in the Midwest, at least where I am. Every year, like clockwork, the McRib is always here for the Halloween season. A lot of you guys haven't had it in many years until a couple years ago, but it's here every Halloween since I was a little kid. So I've eaten my fair share of McRibs and plus some. And the McRib, hold the pickles, hold the onions. I like pickles, I like onions. I don't like them on the McRib. It ruins the flavor. But gotta say, so far the first 2 McRibs I've had this year, been a little suspect, I'm gonna say. But I've always go to Halloween, we go to McDonald's, and then the kids, we go trick-or-treating, and the soundtrack to it all is the Misfits Collection 1 and Collection 2. So many good hits there. If you've never listened to the Misfits, that's a perfect place to start. So that is the Halloween Album of the Week. So there it is. There's the toy news of the week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What are you picking up? What are you passing on? What do you think is hot garbage? What are you not going to touch your wallet on? Let me know in the comments down below. Hopefully you guys all enjoy Halloween weekend. For those celebrating out there, should be a good one. Hopefully, at least my area, the weather's going to be fairly nice. I've had a lot of Halloweens as a kid where it was snowing, which is terrible. Should be pretty nice. A little jacket and we'll be off to the races. But hopefully everybody enjoys Halloween. And while you're here, of course, finishing off this video, don't forget to give it the old thumbs up, like this video, subscribe to the channel, turn on the old notification bell. We're marching towards 22,000 subscribers. Can you believe it? We're going to get there sooner than later. Of course, next week we'll have a special top 10 video on Thursday. Stay put for that one. You don't want to miss that. But make sure you subscribe, hit the old notification bell. Don't forget about the Patreon for early access to videos like this, bonus content, exclusive content, giveaways, monthly Q&As as I just filmed yesterday, so that's up on Patreon, and a whole lot more, and a couple surprises coming before the end of the year as well over there on Patreon. And as usual, it is the best way to support the channel. You can also support the channel at ProWrestlingTees.com, search Kyle Peterson, and don't forget to follow me on social media at SirPaul64 on Twitter, Instagram, _Kyle_Peterson. So for the news of the week, I'm Kyle. See you guys all real soon.